Today we are discussing chapter 7 and 8 of George's Marvelous Medicine. When the story ended last time, we had learned that George had made his medicine and was now about to feed it to Grandma. So now Grandma enters into the living room and uh, George enters into the living room and Grandma is now watching him very angrily. She scolds him for being late and George replies that Grandma, I am on time. It's exactly 11 o'clock. Grandma then orders him that, you know what, stop talking, shake the bottle, and feed me the medicine. George then asks his grandma, how will you take this medicine? Will you sip it little by little, or will you gulp the entire spoonful in one go? Grandma becomes even more angry and she replies that, you know what, this is none of your business. How I take my medicine is my problem. You don't worry about it. George is pouring the medicine into the spoon and he recalls how he has added so many odd ingredients into making his special medicine. He feeds the grandma her medicine and then he steps back a few steps. थोड़ा सा वो पीछे होता है because now he wants to watch the result of what will happen to grandma. Grandma gave a huge scream and she shot up in the air as if somebody had electrocuted her. The problem was that she stayed up in the air. She didn't fall down immediately. She stayed up in the air, floating, and she was stuck in her sitting position, and her eyes were bulging out. They had become huge in size. All of a sudden, Grandma drops back into her chair and she starts to scream, call the fire brigade. She screamed that she felt like like her stomach was on fire. George tries to calm her down. He says, you know what, Grandma, don't worry. This is just the medicine because it is so hot. The medicine ki taasir shayad garam hai. That's why you are feeling like this. But she doesn't listen to him and she keeps on screaming that she will die. She will become a roast. Something bad will happen to her if the fire brigade doesn't come. George becomes really scared when he saw that black smoke was coming out of grandma's ears and her nostrils. He ran to the kitchen and he returned with a jug of water. Now, because of all the smoke, he was not able to look at grandma very clearly, but he still manages to make grandma drink some of the water. A sizzling sound could be heard as soon as grandma drinks the water, like the sound that you hear when you add water to a steaming pan. You heat up a pan and you add some water. There is a bit of steam that comes out. A sizzling sound could be heard. That exact sound was heard from grandma's stomach. Just when George thought that everything is normal now, all the effects are of the medicine have been shown, grandma started to swell and puff up like a balloon and she started to float up in the air. Her face, her skin changed color from green to red to purple. There came a hissing sound. A hissing sound means when you blow up a balloon, and if you keep the mouth of the balloon open just a little bit, some of the air starts to come out of the balloon. That sound could be heard from grandma, meaning she was also deflating. The air that was trapped in her body is now coming out, and she dropped back in her chair. But grandma was completely silent. She didn't say anything. She was just sitting and not talking. All of a sudden, grandma stood up with a jerk. Jerk means a sudden movement. With a sudden movement, grandma stood up, something she hadn't done since many, many years. George was excited to see his grandma standing. Now, grandma was starting to grow tall. Slowly, slowly, inch by inch, grandma was growing tall in height. Soon, grandma's head was touching the ceiling. George thought, okay, fine, this is where she will stop now. But that's not what happened. Grandma broke that ceiling and she continued to grow till the second floor of the house. George then ran upstairs, and Grandma, who could now speak, greeted him excitedly. George then asks his grandma, you know what, grandma, stop growing. You are ruining the entire house. You've already broken the ceiling of one floor, which father had built with such difficulty. But grandma didn't care. She continued to grow and she broke another ceiling till she reached the attic on the third floor. So now she's broken up two floors and now she's on the third one. George then begged grandma not to break the roof. He said, "You know what, grandma, that's fine. Internally, you've broken the house, but don't break the roof." But grandma was excited. She says that she hasn't been out of the house in 20 years. This is her chance to breathe some fresh air. George was now worried about the medicine that he had made. He realizes that maybe he made a very strong medicine or maybe he gave a larger dose to grandma. Then George stepped out of his house into the yard and he noticed that grandma hadn't broken the roof yet. Okay, out in his garden, he was standing and he was looking, waiting that grandma might just break the roof. But then he thought, चलो अभी तक roof नहीं टूटी, maybe she's she has changed her mind. But he was wrong. All of a sudden, he could hear the sound of the tiles breaking, and grandma appeared like a monster outside. Okay, her head was appearing out of the roof like a monster. George then begged her. He said, "Okay, grandma, now please stop growing. Now you have broken the roof also of the house." So grandma replies that, "Okay, fine, now I'll stop. I don't need to grow taller anymore." George then, she told George, "See, this is all my magic." She says, "Because I know how to do magic, I made myself stand up and I made myself grow this tall." George then tells her that it is not because of any magic, it is because of my medicine. And he said he made a new medicine and he gave it to grandma, because of which she's now standing and becoming tall. Grandma doesn't believe him one bit. So he decides that he will feed his medicine to the hen to prove it to grandma that it was his medicine. He pours the medicine in a spoon and he tries to feed it to the hen. The hen has a drop or two of the medicine with her beak. All of a sudden, the hen jumps up to the height of the house and black smoke starts to come out of her beak. Grandma then shouts at George, "K, you know what? You are killing this hen, and when your father comes back, he will be very furious at you." George then throws a bucket of water at the hen, and the smoke went away. The hen looked much better now. Now the hen tried to jump. She flapped her wings. She jumped. She did a somersault. A somersault means in Urdu kalabazi khana. She turned her body round 360-degree and she landed back on the ground. Now the hen had started to grow taller and taller. The only difference was that when grandma grew, she became thinner and taller. But the hen, when she was growing, the hen grew bigger and taller. It became bigger in size, fatter and plumper also. The hen grew till it was as big as a horse. George was amazed when he looked at the hen. But grandma said, "You know what? You don't need to be amazed. I am still the tallest person here out of the three." And that is our lecture for today.